codes to do this outside, but it's code red, so we're doing it in here. Apparently I hit a nerve today. I did a little Mythbuster Monday about rib flare causing prolapse, and I've been seeing a lot of these posts on rib flare, and it's like the newest disease or problem that pregnant women can have, or postpartum women. And what rib flare is your ribs going out. And if you've had a baby, you understand that your baby in utero, their butt or body part gets shoved up, pushes your diaphragm out of the way, and usually your ribs get kind of pushed out of the way, makes it hard to breathe. And postpartum, sometimes that flare remains. There's a lot of things that remain postpartum. Some people say that if you do a lot of oblique work, that'll change that. And the thing is, we just don't have data one way or the other. A, to say if this is an issue, or B, to say that we can change it, or C, to say that we need to change it or don't need to change it. We just don't have information. And so typically that's where I see there are a lot of people that are diving in saying, oh, there's this one tiny piece that's wrong, and this is how you fix it. And if you buy my program for $19.95 or whatever, I can fix it. Or you go to a PT and you have to do things in a very particular kind of minutia-oriented way. So that's what's going on out there. And so I think the hard part in all of this is understanding what's going on in the background. So we don't have data here, again, one way or the other. So maybe there's some case studies that say, hey, it works in this situation, but I don't think we have anything to say blanket wise, we need to all of a sudden be obsessed with rib flare. And second of all, to say it causes prolapse or leakage or any of these things, A, we're not that delicate. Women have had rib flare for centuries because we've been having babies for centuries. And this is just something new for people to get, they're being a bonnet about the last, say year or so. So that being said, why is this coming up now? And again, I think a lot of it, there are continuing education companies that are teaching therapists about the minutiae of posture and restoring posture and getting things right. And a lot of providers are purchasing and attending those courses and buying into a lot of this stuff without vetting the evidence or without critically analyzing that evidence. A lot of us, again, we went into this because we want to just help people and make them better. But there's an underlying assumption that there's things to be fixed. And that's where I think we get mixed up, and we try and we equate minutia and details with expertise, when actually, if you can't see the forest for the trees and you're missing the big picture stuff, the minutia doesn't freaking matter. So I've talked about, I worked for somebody years ago that I was told that, the minutiae is, this is how you know you're an expert. And my brain doesn't work that way. I'm a very big picture kind of systematic sort of thinker. And it just drove me nuts. I'm like, crap, I'm never going to be any good. And then one day I realized, I'm like, wait a second. If you miss the basics because you're diving too far in the weeds, you're going to A, lose your patient, and B, if they have to rely on you for everything, that's just not my jam either. My whole thing is, I'm your tour guide. Let me help you figure out which way we need to go here. And I'll put the guardrails on if you need it. But I don't want somebody to feel like they need my hands or they need me for every possible little thing. So it's also helping moms, stuff like this is not, it's fear inducing. Oh no, I've got this wrong with me again. And I'm like, why do we keep doing this? It's driving me bananas. If it's not one thing, it's something else. So a lot of you providers, I feel like, at least those that left comments today, you're like, yeah, okay, we're not that delicate. We need to just stick with the basics sometimes and see if that works. And I totally agree with that. But I would love to hear from any of you guys, whether you're providers or a mom, if you've gone down that minutia rabbit hole, how did it end up? Good or bad? I want to hear both sides of it, because again, I'm not going to demonize anything. If it worked for you, great. I want to hear it. I want to understand why. If it didn't work, I want to hear about it. I want to understand why, because that's what critical thinking does. I'm not going to just put you in a box and be like, hey, we need to, every single rib flare in the universe we need to fix. No, that's not how we work. So Anyways, tell me about your minutiae experiences if you're a provider or you're a patient. I would love to know. Hop in my DMs and I'd love to hear those.